Here's something that might surprise you. Most men have been getting intimacy completely wrong for years, and nobody ever told them. You see, many guys assume that passion in the bedroom is all about speed and intensity, going harder, going faster, like they've seen in movies or read about online. But here's the truth. How you connect physically with your partner has everything to do with whether she's genuinely enjoying the experience or just waiting for it to end. Get this wrong, and you risk creating distance or discomfort. Get it right, and you build the kind of connection that keeps her wanting more time together, feeling closer to you emotionally and physically. And that's exactly what I'm here to help you understand today. I'm Dr. Nerita, and I've spent the last 12 years working in men's health, helping thousands of men rebuild confidence, restore intimacy, and create deeper connections with their partners. And today, I'm going to walk you through the most misunderstood aspects of physical intimacy. The things nobody teaches you, but that make all the difference. Here's what we're covering today. First, why starting slow isn't just polite, it's actually biologically necessary for her body to respond and enjoy what's happening. Then, the specific approach that amplifies pleasure for both of you, including the one element 99% of men completely overlook. And finally, how being present and attentive transforms you from just another guy into someone she genuinely looks forward to being intimate with. Most men spend decades repeating the same patterns because nobody ever explained how female biology actually works during intimacy. So, let's change that right now. Before we go any further, if you're finding this helpful, do me a favor. Hit that like button, drop a comment below telling me where you're watching from, and subscribe so you don't miss the rest of this series. Trust me, what's coming next might completely change how you think about intimacy. Mistake number 1, starting too intense too quickly. Let's talk about the single biggest mistake men make when it comes to physical intimacy. Starting too hard and too deep right from the very beginning. If you're like most guys, you've probably seen intimate scenes in movies or online where things escalate immediately. Penetration happens and suddenly it's aggressive, fast, and intense. And you might assume that's what women want because that's what gets portrayed everywhere. But here's what's actually happening in her body that makes this approach not just ineffective, but uncomfortable. Women's bodies take significantly more time to warm up than yours does during arousal. This isn't opinion, it's pure biology. During arousal, the vaginal opening actually expands to accommodate deeper penetration comfortably. But this doesn't happen instantly. It takes time. Blood flow increases. The vaginal canal lengthens. Natural lubrication increases. The muscles relax. This is a process, not a switch that flips the second intimacy starts. So when you begin with hard, deep intensity immediately before her body has had the time to fully respond, it's almost guaranteed to be uncomfortable or even painful for her. Now, she might not tell you this. She might not want to hurt your feelings. She might be uncomfortable speaking up, or she might genuinely think this is how intimacy is supposed to feel because other partners have done the same thing. But regardless of whether she says anything, you need to understand that biologically, her body isn't ready for that intensity yet. Starting slow gives her body the time it needs to relax and fully open up. And when you do eventually build a deeper, more intense connection, it feels incredible for her instead of painful. This isn't about being timid or hesitant. It's about understanding how arousal works in the female body and adjusting your approach accordingly. Slow doesn't mean boring. It means strategic. Think of it this way. You wouldn't try to sprint a marathon right from the starting line. You pace yourself. You build momentum. Intimacy works the same way. Technique number 2, the power of teasing and anticipation. The second technique that changes everything is teasing. And this applies specifically to the rhythm of your physical connection, not just foreplay. Teasing is about strategically varying intensity to amplify her pleasure through anticipation and craving. And here's the psychology behind why this works so powerfully. When she's experiencing intense pleasure during intimacy, her body adapts to that level of stimulation. Those feelings build as she goes deeper into the experience. But when you temporarily pull back on that intensity, when you press pause for just a moment, you're creating a contrast that makes her want it even more. You're activating her desire. You're making her crave what you just took away. And this sense of craving will double or triple the intensity of her pleasure when you finally give her what she wants again. So here's how this works in practice. When you find yourself getting into a harder, faster rhythm that she's clearly enjoying, let her experience that for a bit, then pull back. Slow everything down dramatically. Enter her slowly and shallowly instead of hard and deep. And watch her reaction. She's going to be squirming, probably trying to pull you deeper, maybe even verbally asking you to give it back to her. And that's when you know you've got her exactly where you want her. Once you build up your speed and intensity again, you'll see what a powerful effect this contrast has on her body. The pleasure hits completely differently after being denied it for a few moments. One critical warning though, don't try this teasing technique right when she's approaching climax. If you pull back intensity right before she's about to reach orgasm, she's going to be genuinely frustrated with you and not in a good way. This technique works best in the earlier and middle stages of intimacy when you're building arousal, not when she's right on the edge. Technique number 3, varying your tempo throughout. The third element to master is varying your tempo throughout the entire experience. If you maintain the same rhythm for an extended period, it gets repetitive, and repetitive stimulation actually becomes less pleasurable over time. Our nerve endings adapt to consistent stimulation patterns and become less sensitive to them. That's basic neuroscience. That's why mixing up your tempo is crucial. Your tempo should shift based on several factors: what position you're in, how close either of you is to climax, and how far into the experience you are. If you're early in the experience, facing each other, kissing, connecting, you can go slower and savor the intimacy. If you're further along and she's in a different position, you can go harder and faster. Don't overthink this. The point isn't to follow some rigid formula. It's to create natural variation so that her body stays responsive and engaged rather than adapting to one consistent rhythm. As long as you're varying tempo based on the moment and what feels right, both of you will enjoy the experience significantly more. Quick pause here before I get to technique number 4. Let me tell you about something that's going to save you from making embarrassing mistakes when it comes to oral intimacy. I've put together a free resource that covers the most common errors guys make during oral sex. Things that seem minor but completely ruin the experience for her. A lot of men think they know what they're doing, but they're actually doing things that turn her off or make her uncomfortable without realizing it. You'll find the link in the description. It's completely free and it'll save you from techniques that don't actually work. Technique number 4, the power of grinding. The 99% miss this. Now let me talk about the technique that 99% of men completely ignore, and it's one of the most powerful tools you have. I'm talking about grinding. Most guys focus exclusively on the in and out motion, and yes, that stimulates her internal nerve endings, but it completely misses the most pleasure-sensitive part of female anatomy, the clitoris. When you grind into her, holding her body against yours, pressing your body firmly against hers, and keeping her close, you have the ability to apply pressure to her outer anatomy and clitoris. And this is where understanding female biology becomes critically important. The clitoris isn't just that small external point. It actually has internal structures that extend beneath the surface, and the entire area responds incredibly well to pressure against the vaginal opening and surrounding tissue. In simple terms, if you grind against her instead of just going in and out, you're stimulating her clitoris, which is the biggest source of sexual pleasure in the female body. For most women, clitoral stimulation is essential for orgasm. So by incorporating grinding, you're dramatically increasing the likelihood that she'll actually reach climax during penetration. How exactly do you grind? It's straightforward. You stay deep inside her and move firmly against her body, making contact with her outer anatomy and clitoris. This isn't aggressive or rough, it's controlled pressure. Some positions, like missionary, make grinding much easier to execute. Other positions make it harder, so you'll need to experiment and adjust based on what you're doing. But either way, I strongly encourage you to use this technique. Not only does it massively increase pleasure for her, but it's also a strategic way for you to take a breather and recharge. Grinding is very stimulating for her, but significantly less so for you. So if you find yourself getting close to climax too early, switching to grinding lets you slow down your own arousal while still keeping her pleasure high. It's a win for both of you. Technique number 5, pay attention and stay present. The fifth and final principle is paying attention. Whether you're using rhythm, grinding, or doing anything else during intimacy, you need to be present and aware of how she's responding. Watch how her body reacts. Listen to her breathing. Notice what makes her move toward you versus pull back slightly. Pay attention to vocalizations, muscle tension, all of it. This awareness is what allows you to create the best possible experience for both of you, not just once, but consistently over time. Too many guys get trapped in their own heads during intimacy. They're worrying about performance, second-guessing themselves, thinking about whether they're doing it right. And because they're mentally checked out, they never actually learn what works for them and for the woman they're with. Being present and attentive makes you a better lover than most men by default. It's not complicated. You're simply paying attention to what's happening in real time and adjusting based on her responses. That responsiveness, that presence, that's what separates mediocre intimacy from the kind of experience she'll be thinking about days later. One more thing before I wrap up. Women are significantly more likely to enjoy intimacy and reach orgasm when they feel emotionally connected to the man they're with. Intimacy for women isn't purely physical, it's emotional as well. Even if you've just started dating or it's a casual situation, the stronger the emotional bond, the better the experience will be for her and the more she'll want to keep coming back. Building that connection doesn't require grand gestures. It comes from how you communicate, how present you are, how you make her feel seen and valued. So don't just focus on technique, focus on connection. Look, if this video gave you some clarity on what you've been doing wrong or what you've been doing right, I want you to do 2 things. First, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss future content like this. I'm covering everything from prostate health to testosterone optimization to sexual wellness. All from a doctor's perspective with 12 years of experience helping men just like you. Second, leave a comment below. Tell me which of these 5 techniques surprised you most, or which one are you going to try first? I read every comment and I genuinely want to hear from you. Here's what I want you to remember. Age doesn't mean the end of intimacy, passion, or connection. It doesn't mean you have to settle for less. Small adjustments in how you approach physical intimacy can restore confidence, deepen your bond with your partner, and bring back the kind of closeness you thought was behind you. You deserve to feel desired. You deserve to feel capable. And most importantly, you deserve to experience intimacy that's fulfilling for both you and your partner. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next.